All right, hello, people. I really hope this is working. uh, I have never used Streamlabs, so if I'm unaudible, please let me know. I am trying to see right now on my own. I think I'm good, maybe. Everything seems to be kind of working. Okay, cool. Well, here we go. This is the first like solo live stream I've done ever. So bear with me if it's a little scuffed. Not much I can do there. And okay, good. I also see Tony the already proactively disapproving the unfair ranking of Russ by a Magnus apologizer. I like Russ. Don't get me wrong. I think he's cool. But like Magnus is just dope. There's not much I can do there, you know? He's really cool. He's magic. He's red. What's not to love, you know? But good. Glad to see it is working. Currently, I guess just given a few more minutes till I go to the actual ranking. I want to make sure that people can hop in and I guess see it. Though, you know, first stream stuff, I highly doubt this is gonna be like a big thing where everyone comes in and all that. Still, I think it's a thing I want to try doing more, especially with 2024. I took a big old break for the holidays, but I have returned. So, welcome one and all who are actually joining. And then I get to deal with the other aspect of live streaming is continuously talking. I'm not the best at that. So, we'll see. I guess preemptively, I am curious if anyone is like seen my Primarch video, which to be fair, that is like my big one, but I guess it is prior viewing like requirements, some homework, if you will. Alright, let's see. Magnus so good he had to handicap himself by destroying the Emperor's ultimate He did do that. He did do a lot of fucky stuff just out and about through there. Also the fact I man, the one of the reasons I gotta apologize like for Magnus is purely because like the absolute shit hand you were dealt of dealing with a father who's like don't delve into psychic stuff, it's dangerous. But then on the other like hand, he's currently building you a method to be more psychic. I don't know, man. I can only shake my head here about these objective falsehoods. Also, damn you, Magnus, for being so cool. He's so cool, but also Russ is dope. I don't know. I think I still believe my placement on Russ, but I'll get into that. Russ plays into the really cool, like, I think my favorite character archetype is the secret intelligent character. I really like his whole vibe of, he plays the savage, but in reality, he's a mastermind. Alright, what the fuck am I getting pings? Okay. I'm gonna, turn my own Discord on Do Not Disturb so I don't hear it. Because, oh boy, that's distracting. And I have to check. I see notifications and I get like, nervous. It's a weird tick of mine. Okay, Magnus didn't trust Daddy. He didn't trust him though. That's for good reason, because his dad's like, hey, by the way, I know I'm an all-powerful psyker, but don't do it. Don't do what I do. Anyways, here's the chair I'm building for you. You know what? Anyways, while we're all here, might as well just jump into it. I wanna get to it quickly. Let me fancy transition to the scene that I got. Okay, boom. Okay, cool. I think it's still working, and I think the chat box should appear as well, I hope. Hope I said things right. So yeah, this is my original Primarch ranking. As you can see, it's completely accurate. Except for one placement, because I lost a revision I did. I have no clue where it is. The only change I would give to this so far, all changes I made before literally this stream, is in a video. I also don't remember which video. I moved Korax up one slot because I realized that Korax is an absolute, like, dude, I love him so much. Let's see. Oh, to be fair, Gilliman, the Emperor's most loyal son, no longer trusts Daddy. I mean, it's hard to, you know? It's really hard to trust the Emperor. Like, there's nothing about him that really screams, like, trustable when he's just actively lying. Also, hello, Slug. Welcome. So, okay. This is my tier list. This is what I got going on. And I, today, having made a video on every single Primarch except for Alfarius because I'm scared to. I'm nervous about it, man. It's so complicated. In reality, I just need to read the actual books. I need to read the Alpha Legion books, which I haven't done yet. Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about Alfarius, apparently. At least according to the, like, Live from the Black Library channel, which I need to delve into a little more. I'm not going to entertain this weird inside joke, my man. I'm not. This is my channel. This is my land. Okay, I also hope the... Yeah, okay, the chat box comes up. I don't know why it seems like it deletes some, but fucking whatever. I guess real quick, let me peek at that. Does it delete them after a certain amount of time? Because I don't want that. I want it to stay up. Whatever. That's a future me problem. Anyways. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do here, obviously, I'm going to reset it. Because I want to recreate it and at least update my opinions. I want to stretch it out. This is the new one. This is the official 2024 Primarch tier list, with also people in my audience able to argue about it, because I want to hear all of your thoughts on these. I want to hear reasons why some of my rankings are wrong, which also I will prompt early on here. I am a man who's very susceptible to bribes. So if you really want one of your Primarchs to be ranked higher, I can just be bribed for it. I have no shame in that. I literally did a fucking mobile game ad earlier this year. Or I guess last year now. It's Bucky. Let's see. Hurt my spirit to see Gilliman so low. I will see. We'll see if I change that, though no promises. But okay, I guess just hit it real quick. Because the first one we're talking about is Fulgrim. Fulgrim is a pick. I gotta say, I think Fulgrim is super dope in, like, heresy stuff. His story, absolutely beautiful and fantastic, though he's held back by the fact that I just don't like Slaanesh shit. I don't at all. I think Slaanesh is kind of like, it's not even being like a prude or something. I don't care about the sex and drug style or just an excess. It's fine. I think it can have some really cool imagery. I'm just bored of it and ambivalent. So, like, when Fulgrim is falling in the actual, like, Horus Heresy book, he is so cool, I gotta say. But, like, everything afterwards, I don't know, man. He's a big snake. So, like, I still think he's a C-tier Primarch, to be completely honest. Though, a funny one. He's got a lot of, like, really interesting moments. I do really love his constant attempts to clone Ferrus Manus, or at least get Fabius to do it. And then try and convince Ferrus to go traitor, but failing every time. That is a great little storyline. But, I don't know, like, I do think Fulgrim's, like, he's gonna return soon, I imagine. A lot of things keep kind of hinting at that. I want him to return. I think his new model would be absolutely sick. Oh no, one of my rankings is gone. I gotta fix that. I don't like having this. Let me delete that. Change this, because this one still stays the same. Because I'm still putting Perturabo in his own special incel tier, I gotta say. I'm not a fan of Perturabo. I'm not. I don't think I ever will be. I still don't like him. He's just... Okay, so this is actually something I explained in Voxcast to Nowhere, an episode I was on their podcast, which is actually a really fun podcast. I'm really, really down for it. Hopefully we'll be on again soon. Voxcast to Nowhere, friend of the channel, go check them out. Especially my episode. But when we're talking about the Primarchs, a big thing I brought up about Perturabo is that a big issue is that he just reminds me of people I hate in real life. It bothers me. Oh, wait, chat message. Fulgrim was pretty cool in Dark Imperium, as short as that was, but the fact that we didn't get the scene where he reclaimed control from the sword just remains so bad. Yes, actually true. That is a thing I have a major issue with. I am so sad that sequence with Fulgrim happens off screen, because that feels like that should be a really cool moment in, like, a really impactful spot. I don't know. Like... I want that segment where he breaks out of the painting instead of like, oh yeah, I was out the whole time. That's stupid. I hate it. Can you bring back F tier so we can push pretty lower? You know what? Good point. Let me do that. Add a row below. Um, F. I don't like the colors now. It's fucking me up. It's got to be in sequential order, or else I'll be upset. All right, so no one is going to go in F tier. I want to make that clear. No one is going there. It is just to rank Perturabo lower. Because I don't like him. He reminds me of a lot of people that I've met and had to deal with in real life, sadly, which is the people who cannot just communicate their fucking feelings at you. That's not even saying, like, you need to have emotional intelligence to be around me, or, like, I don't know, if you have struggle with that kind of, like, vulnerability or just talking to someone. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the people who you meet that are, like, cannot discuss things, they're always passive-aggressive and, like, really just upset. And, like, just dealing with that in my life. The most annoying people I've ever fucking dealt with. It infuriates me. Like, I don't know. I also can completely understand why he's there and why he's the way he is. It's completely understandable when your dad makes basically a joke child by combining some, like, two really nasty fucking curses as your, like, Primarch powers. You both have the curse of you will instantly understand everything you read, and, like, you'll just learn instantly, so you don't have to get that feeling of discovery. But on the other hand, you're also constantly aware of the Eye of Terror and feel it watching you, which is, that sucks, man. And then the Emperor sends him onto, like, literally the worst jobs ever. I understand why he fell, but I also think he's an annoying man-child, and still firmly believe that he is an incel. Let me get a little drink of water real quick. Oh boy. Can't criticize the Perturabo decision. We'll see how long that sticks, you know? I have a feeling there's going to be some discussion later. Here we go. All right. This one is... Okay. This next up is Sanguinius. And this is the one that people got, like, the most upset about in my original video. Which I should say, that original video, a lot of it is just me fucking around. Like, it is a joke video, but all my placement is my actual opinion. Though, I at least did... I guess I really exaggerated a lot of it, like my reasoning. But my placements is all completely true. The one part that always will hold true in my heart is, Sanguinius is really just a boring Conrad Kurz. But I don't think he's a bad character or Primarch, which is why I want to put him in C tier. Like, in C tier, it's more of like, I don't fuck with him, but alright, I can see why people like him. And, like, another thing that keeps popping up with my placement of Sanguinius is people being like, yeah, but he's such a good leader. He's so, like, such a cool warrior. I don't care about that. I want the vibes. I feel like spending enough time with the Harad is enough to turn anyone into an incel, TBH. Yes, actually. The Harad are one of the most annoying enemies to fight ever. There's just so many times, even in, like, 40k books, where certain Chaos Marines will kind of, like, mention, yeah, the Harad. Oh, dude, my condolences. That sucks. They're the worst. But yeah, Sanguinius, I don't know, man. It's also just my opinion of the Blood Angels, where, I don't know, the Blood Angels exist. They've never really done a lot for me. I think they get a lot of attention, and the attention they get, you know what, pretty cool. I think the characters that they have, I'm jealous of. I'm jealous of, like, the treatment on the tabletop as well. But, like, I don't know. Outside of the part with Sanguinius that I think is really cool, of the fact that his entire character is really built around the idea of, from birth, the Chaos Gods were gunning for him, and, like, Khorne really wanted him to be his champion. Like, oh my god, Khorne was really, like, gunning for him, which makes me feel bad for Angron, that Angron was, like, his third pick of champion. Well, actually, fourth, because he tried to get Dorn, like, later. He tried to get Dorn under his control, which fucking, that sucks, man. Not much you can do there. I don't know. Like, chat, how do you feel about Sanguinius? Like, I'm curious if there's any defense for him here. If anything I've said is out of line for Sanguinius fans. Because, like, I don't know. Also, just the bit that he's a canonically dead Primarch, I think is a good storyline. I hope they don't bring him back. He's one of the Primarchs that I genuinely hope stays dead, because I think a lot of the stories are really cheapened if he comes back. the Blood Angel's like identity is the fact that Sanguinius is gone, and he will not let Dante die ever. He just pushes him down. Personally, get Sanguinius as his whole character is built, or the ranking of Sanguinius, his whole character is built on the curse he leaves for the chapter. Yeah, the whole like vampire thing, which yeah, I mean, I you know what? This is a completely unbased opinion. Like, I've not read a Blood Angels book. I don't know. I like with other vampire media, the whole like drinking blood thing, and I would know I'm a big Vampire the Masquerade fanboy. That's like a big part of like the story and the characters, but like, does it actually come up in any way that's meaningful in the Blood Angels books? Like the whole needing to drink blood. The Black Rage though, I think is unironically dope. That is super cool and super fun. The Red Thirst, I don't know. They just need to get the sip. Put it in an F tier because it's funny. I will not. I think that would get people on my ass, like upset about it all the time. Okay, so if it does come up often, and it is actually play a pivotal story, because at least on the outside, looking into their lore, a lot of it does feel kind of tacked on with the whole vampire bit. But I don't know. That again, I could be completely wrong. I've not read any of their books. Apparently, I should though. They seem really cool. All right, but you know, we're gonna stay on this streak. At least, unless there's any more thoughts about Sanguinius. But Lionel Johnson, I gotta say, is another. It's just another C tier for me. To be completely honest, I think the actions of Lionel Johnson are cool. He has honestly one of the best Primarch aesthetics as well, especially the new one. Like, oh my god. Oh, let's see. Come on, man. Fulgrim is the worst together with Morty. I don't think Fulgrim's the worst. I don't think he's that bad. I think just Fulgrim plays on the aesthetics that I'm not into, but also the fact that Fulgrim, as he acts, I really like flawed characters. I like characters that are pieces of shit. So you'll see a lot of this. The worse a character is as like a person, except for Perturabo, because he hits a couple of like really key personality triggers that annoy the fuck out of me, like my own pet peeves. Fulgrim is super fun in the fact that he's egotistical and petty. Like the whole like Rylanor bit where he's just trying to like fuck with his dreadnought, his old son. And then like the worst part of it is that he failed, and the nuke getting set off in his face didn't hurt him, it hurt his pride. I like that. Flawed. Yeah, he sucks. He like completely is a piece of shit. But my biggest issue with Fulgrim is the Slaanesh aesthetic, which is just not my vibe. I can respect people who like Slaanesh and like Emperor's Children. I'm not into it. But the story of Fulgrim's fall, I think, completely makes up for any issues I have with the actual character. But yeah, Lionel Johnson, I love his like return, to be honest. I think he's so fucking cool. His like style is dope. He's got one of the best drip of all the Primarchs, you know? But on the other hand, I just find him a little boring. And some of this, I will say, is coming from the fact that Descent of Angels, the Horus Heresy book, is probably one of the worst Warhammer books I've ever read in my fucking life. And it made Lionel Johnson, because that is canonical, like, Jesus Christ, he's a fucking moron in that book. There's the segment that kills me, because the idea of the scene and the whole, like, sequence is very well done. But the part specifically where, like, that one governor is, like, going to bomb their flagship, where his whole thing is he's like, I put a nuke on board. Why did you put a nuke on board my ship? Well, I am upset because you're trying to get rid of the gods. You worship gods, no one told me. We didn't tell you because we hid it. And it's a back and forth for what I think in the conversation is like 5 minutes of just a loop of, why didn't you tell us you were worshiping gods? Because we hid it, and we hid it in the trees. Where did you hide it? In the trees and caves. It's like, it's such a dumb sequence because Lionel Johnson, from everything else, is characterized as a man of action. So, I don't know. Though, I will also say, his fight scenes are absolutely goated. The fight with him and Russ, I think, is fantastic. It's a really good way of playing the two characters that are, I guess, the most martial and warrior aspect, and really hitting the two vibes of them. And playing off their planetary culture, especially with the end bit where Russ is kind of like laughing about the duel and being like, classic, brother versus brother, what a great time. And then Lionel Johnson is more like this is a fight for honor because his whole knightly uprising or upbringing. To be honest, all the Primarchs are a bit too one note for me. I find none of them good as characters. I don't know. I think that obviously I'm not gonna say like, oh, I just got to read the books, though that is the answer. I think it depends on the author and the story. Because I will be honest, written by some people, 100% correct. I think that is very true. But then there are some where you read like the Conrad Kurtz Primarch book. You read Fulgrim. You read like the first couple, like with Horus Rising. I think there are a lot of deeply complex characters, but they can very much be written to the point where they're not. Because the whole bit with Lionel Johnson is, especially in the beginning, I think is a cool idea of Descendant Angels, is that he's a character really conflicted and isolated just outwardly, but I think he builds up his personality really well. But don't get me wrong, I can see based on which stories you're talking about. Though, like, modern Gilliman, I don't know, man. I think he has a pretty good personality there. Let's see. As a huge Space Wolves character, I find L. Johnson difficult as my dislike of the character has nothing to do with that rivalry. For me, L. Johnson is boring when it's made worse by Luther actually being a really compelling character. He's very interesting, don't get me wrong. Luther is dope. Luther is very cool. His whole, like, descent and fall is very cool. And the one bit I will give the later Dark Angels books and the Horus Heresy is they set up his betrayal really well. They set up the fact that he is, from the beginning, like, kind of getting screwed over by this one nice act he did. He just took in this, like, random kid, this feral child, and then the kid is like, move over, bucko, all your promotions are mine now. Like, damn, that sucks, dude. I don't know what else you can say about that. Conrad is literally the Grim Knight from the Batman comics. To be fair, I don't know who the Grim Knight is. I'm not a comic guy. But, I don't know. The Kurz book is amazing. Though the whole point, like, one of the big reasons I like Conrad Kurz is purely because of his like self-contradictory nature and the fact that he has to lie to himself to even function. Like, his entire mentality is purely on that idea of if I am correct, I have this flawed interpretation of my power, like, it has to come true. And then his entire, I guess, dilemma is that idea that if he's wrong, then that means he willingly became a horrible monster. And I think that's a dope character idea. I think that is a cool story arc. But again, it's based on which author you go down. It's Batman from another timeline and he kills criminals. I mean, Kurz has a bit more going on, but again, it's like on the surface, 100%. On the surface, I mean, everyone's made the comparison. He's edgy Batman. But you know what? I'll get to that when we get to Kurz, because I will have more to say about him. But let's see. I don't know. I still think Lionel Johnson is a C tier, which also fun bit because Kurz and Lionel Johnson had a pretty fun conflict where, you know, Kurz was living at his walls and then became an absolute gremlin on McCrag, which is a great little story. I really like that a lot. Which also is a bit where I can respect. I like Lionel Johnson as a man of action, with the fact that he really went against Gilman's whole thing of don't fuck with my city, and he's like, I'm a dude anyways, just in secret, and just started carpet bombing areas of the Ultramar system. Let's see. All right. Finally, a positive one. I am going to put Dorn in S tier. I still think he's an S tier Primarch for me. And this one is not even purely because, like, I think Dorn is a specially written character. I think he's pretty alright. The main reason is there's a special place in my heart for Dorn, as he is, like, my first real, like, entry point into this hobby, which I feel like everyone has. I feel like everyone has, like, one character that they really invested in early on in their Warhammer fandom days, like, right when they're starting out. And Dorn was mine, because in If the Emperor Had a Text-Speech Device, Dorn was my favorite character. So I started with him. And also, I think he's basically... we'll see what people think. I feel like Dorn is a more interesting Gilliman to me, because he has a lot of Gilliman's traits, but Dorn is more fun about it, because he's an asshole. Because he's kind of a dick. And that part I really enjoy. Again, let me get a quick drink of water. Dorn is one of the foundation stones we need. Like he's like the block that builds up what makes the Primarchs the Primarchs. I think him and Gilliman are like the embodiment of what a Space Marine is, and then Dorn hits it a little harder. Cobalt Heart just screamed in anguish. I mean, I know we disagree on the Gilliman thing. I know 100%, but like the Gilliman is such like a Boy Scout. He's so kind of nice about it. Granted, he's a little like not in the Horus Heresy. It's just everything about Dorn. He's just a fun character in the fact that like he's just kind of a dick, and I really like that. It's just funny whenever he's trying to he accidentally throws shade at like another character because he's just being honest. The bit where he very like matter-of-factly tells Perturabo that his buildings are shit and that Dorn's better is so funny. Gilliman would never. Gilliman would find a way to diplomatically deal with it. Been like, Dorn, nah, straight to the point. Sometimes for the worse, where sometimes he reveals a secret that a character gave him in confidence and then betrays their trust. I'm looking at you, Conrad. He tried to tell Dorn what was going on, and Dorn's like, the fuck? And they got very mad. And that, you know what? That's kind of uncool, Dorn. Like, your brother told you something. You should respect that. But let's see. Is there any positives or negatives to this? Anyone don't think I should put Dorn in S tier? I'm willing to hear counterpoints, and I very much want to hear counterpoints. Yeah, Happy New Year. Thanks for swinging by in the first place. I'm kind of just glad that, I don't know, I have a channel and a community that is willing to hop in a live in the first place. I was kind of expecting this to be a me sitting in an empty stream for a bit. By the way, in current books, they made Perturabo hate Gilliman more than Dorn. That's not okay. That's Dorn's entire personality. Ow. You know, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, man. That ruins it. The fun is that they're like big rivals. Ah, God. Fucking attack received. Ouch. That is that like, wait, which book was that released in? If you remember, I'm curious. I do think Dorn is actually a good character. I don't think he's my favorite, like, in writing, you know? I think I have other Primarchs that hit a lot of the good writing aspect a lot stronger than some others. Like, some are very much just, wow, that is a Primarch. That is a character that is a Primarch. But, like, I don't know. Of Iron and Honor. I'll have to check out that book later. I'm very curious what it says and to read it, especially if it's throwing shade on the rivalry like that. But yeah, let's see. This one, you know what? I will actually change. This is a significant update. I will put Ferrus Manus in B tier. Looking into him, Ferrus is kind of the fucking best. He is a bro. I don't think he's a top tier for me, only because like the sheer just lack of content for him is kind of both a wouldn't recommend it, wasn't that good, it was super weird. Now I'm interested. I am worryingly interested. I'm at least gonna look at it. I don't know if I'm gonna read it. I'm behind on a lot of other books, to be honest. So like I have a big backlog that will have to be finished before I start delving into other weird shit. But Ferrus, when I actually looked into him for the video, there was a lot of stuff that I was honestly surprised with. Like, damn, he's pretty fun. He has a lot of really cool interactions with his brothers. I think even besides like his genuine friendship with Fulgrim, which I really like the story of, I think their beginning of the friendship is such like, God, it's so cool. It's just so nice. And then later on, as it develops with other characters, like him meeting Vulcan for the first time is a really fun scene. That bit where he's like, I don't know about this new guy, Pops, and then sees him in action is like, I respect this man. Is really fun. Like, Ferrus is a character where I think he's written in a way where there's not a lot of negatives to him, Wait, and then he doesn't have time to develop any real negatives because Ferris dies fucking immediately. Which I at least believe that you can say that is a positive trait for Ferris. He was not around long enough for Games Workshop to ruin his character. Which, that's pretty cool, I gotta say. That's pretty fun. Also, I immediately respect the whole thing with the actual iron hands. Like, having the Necrodermis arms where he just punches metal into shape is absolutely so cool. And I personally adore the whole storyline of his boys becoming the things he never wanted them to be, where they kind of really took his the flesh is weak and twisted it and now believe that, like, yeah, our dad wanted us to be all augmented and fucked up, rather than like, no, he really believed in the strength of humanity and of like the flesh and blood. He would be so disappointed in his kids, which is also a bit I like that ironic twist. I like it a lot when when like a Space Marine chapter, or at least a faction in general, has that ironic twist and they've become the thing their father would have hated. I think it's always a fun story. Also seeing if, again, anyone here have any, if y'all have any more hot takes about Ferris. Because also, I know there's one bit that I see pop up a lot is the whole theory that Ferris Manus is at least somewhat involved with the what are they, the Legion of the Damned. Like, that is basically his new Space Marine chapter. Like, he's the Primarch of them, which I think is dope. I think though sadly it goes against like the official canon for the Legion of the Damned, because I think apparently they're not actual ghosts. But I don't know. I'm really annoyed by that, so I don't acknowledge the fact that apparently they're just space marines with like space cancer, knowing they're gonna die soon, so they just go out dying and fighting like that. See, that's the correct method. I am objectively correct in all of these opinions. I always have been, except for the ones that changed, but they changed for good reason. My unalterable opinion, which can be altered, by the way. My opinions can be bought and paid for. Let's see. I also adore the misunderstanding of Ferris's legacy, just the fact that Games Workshop isn't addressing at all now that other Primarchs are around. Yeah, I honestly am disappointed in that too. That's a good point. I completely forgot about that. I think there's... I want at least a scene where Gilliman, like, thinks about it. Not even, like, calling out the Iron Fathers and, like, the Council, like, yelling at them for being what their dad would have hated. I at least want Gilliman to have the thought in just another point of, yep, there's another thing in the Imperium that's fucked up now. Cool. Another thing to slap on the Ultra Depression, you know? I just want at least that far. That's all I want. Anything deeper? I don't know. I think Gilliman has enough reasons to not address it, because he doesn't want to destroy everything when it comes to the relationship between the Iron Hands and everyone else. More water real quick. God, just sitting here talking. Ugh. I'm not as I am. This is the first stream shit, you know. It is very new and very weird to me. Ugh. Yep. Yeah, if there's I don't know, Ferris doesn't seem to be you know what? I will always take decapitation jokes about Ferris. I mean, whenever I talked about him in my videos, I always did my best to fit in as many as possible. You know, he's got a good head on his shoulders until it wasn't. Let's see. I guess moving on to the next one. Let's hit the next one. Angron, you know, I'm probably gonna put him in another B tier. I don't remember what I put him in before. I think Angron is a character where there are aspects to him I unironically enjoy, like writing wise. There's actually a short story in like Tales of Heresy, like book 10 of the Horus Heresy, that I really like, where it details Karn and Angron meeting. I really like that Angron has this pretty fucked up just backstory to him, where goddamn he was given a shit hand and the fact that he is the way he is, and is kind of aware of that while he is still aware of anything when the corn shit didn't kick in. The whole aspect that there's that really cool dialogue I love with Gilliman where he's yelling at Gilliman and like calling him privileged for having like a family and like people that loved him and cared about him because he can't relate. I think it's a great scene. Also, just the fact that like Angron in some aspects acts like just a wild animal, since he never really had a solid upbringing. Then other than that, it's pure aesthetic shit. I just like how Angron looks. I like that he's a big just rampaging corn monster. I think it's fun. Though like I'm also not gonna sit here and be like current Angron is a great character. He's just a monster that appears like every 6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days, whatever the weird just constant 6 is. No, sorry, 8 because that's the corn number. I forgot. Just because Demon Man doesn't mean it's 666, I think that yeah, I also just don't have any strong opinions on Angron, to be completely honest, other than like I think his descent into like corn aggro like anger is really fun. And then he basically becomes, as like a character, he becomes really much in the aspect that he is a monster, like a big bad for a cool character to take down. That's kind of the function of him narratively, which I believe is like needed. It's a big thing I see in Warhammer where a lot of people don't examine 40k like it's a story. They picture it more like it's real history. So if everything doesn't make pure logical sense, or if it like just stuff happens as like a narrative tool, it's somehow seen as bad. I don't know. I think Angron has a necessity to be the big bad that is taken down every like time he appears. That's his point. So he serves that role. I think it's a fair thing. That also plays into my defense of Abaddon. I believe Abaddon needs to be the like big bad. He needs to be like the big bad evil guy, so he has to fail all the time. But all right, let's see. So that's just 6, you fool. Yeah, you know what? Should have. I was like thinking, yeah, 6. Like, hey, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. It's 8. The whole that's something I see pop up real quick. Something I see that comes up, I've been asked a good few times, is people wondering, like, what's with the whole number thing with chaos? Like, and they try to give theories about it, and then I have to be the one to tell them, hey man, I'm really sorry, but the numbers just kind of are chosen. There's not a good reason for the numbers for each chaos god. It's just kind of a thing. I guess just playing it in numerology being a pretty big thing in certain like religions and beliefs. For me, Angron is one of those where GW's hatred of subtlety just goes too far to really enjoy him. Yeah, Games Workshop has a bad has a bad tendency for that. I completely can see that, and I don't completely agree because I have a different outlook on like the subtlety for 40k. I guess I like it when they become really like on the nose. I think it's really entertaining, but I understand that it would be annoying, and I completely can see where you're coming from with that. Valid point about Angron's role. Yeah, it's just that's the thing. I examine 40k in that storytelling style because I have a storytelling background with this. So like that's how I examine all this. It's just a big world and a big story that's constantly being expanded. So I don't know. Villains got to get beat because it's kind of the role of villains. So I don't know. So what's the rat god's number? I don't know. Warhammer Fantasy. You know what? I'm curious. Let me look up Great Horned Rat. Let's see if this will work on. Let's see. Let's do this live. What is the Great Horned Rat's number? Does he have one? 13. You know what? That tracks. That actually tracks a lot. That it would be 13. Just because, evil, unlucky number. I do like the Skaven a lot though. I need to delve more into Warhammer Fantasy. Everything I go about fantasy I really enjoy. Yeah. Honestly, like genuinely, Renee, that aspect you hit is pretty accurate. I think those are the only two that have an actual like meaning like that, where just 8 sounds like hate and 6 sounds like sex. because 7 and 9, like, I don't know. I don't know what the point is. I guess the only bit too is 9 I can understand for Zinch, since like numerology is a big thing in like Magic. So playing it, especially multiples of 3, that's a really big deal. So I don't know. That probably plays into it, but I feel like they just mentioned it. Opera GX mentioned. I don't know. It just works. I'd switch to Firefox. That is the only other one I use. It's Firefox or Opera GX only because like honestly it's so surface level. I just like that Opera GX makes clicky noises while I type. It makes me happy. I'm a simple man with simple wants. if Firefox is a good add-on that does the same thing, I'm set. Because I do think Firefox is the objectively better browser. I just put a lot of work into Opera, and so like undoing it seems annoying, and I'm too lazy. Seven, 8, 9 means Zinch will fall to them. That untrue. Zinch can never. He's plans a millennia in the making. He's too cool. He's the best Chaos God. Don't at me. Well, yeah. Angron, solid B tier. Lorgar, though. Ooh, boy. Lorgar is, oh, man. Lorgar's a D tier. I gotta be real. I don't like Lorgar. I hate his personality. I hate his personality so much, but not as much as Perturabo. Lorgar is such a man-child, but yet again, I completely understand why he is the way he is. I think he's very annoying. Just like I think a lot of the word-bearer characters are annoying to me. But I also think that, like those word-bearer characters, they're all fantastic villains in whatever story they pop up in. Because, oh my god, they are just so unapologetically shitty. Like, it's ridiculous how much they just suck. Oh my god, it is hysterical to me. There's actually it's another short story with Lorgar in Tales of Heresy. There's a story of him, like, taking over a religious planet, and then, like, as they're, like, falling to chaos in the beginning. I think it's, like, right after the whole thing with Monarchia being burned down. But, like, I don't know. He's just... What can you say about Lorgar? He's bald. He's... I realize I make a lot of bald jokes when it comes to some of the Primarchs, which I can say I'm balding. Give me 10 years, and I will be a bald man, or at least have a really bad comb over. There's a reason I don't look down and forward when I'm making my videos. See, Lorgar is great because he's easy to hate. I do think he's fun to hate, don't get me wrong, but I think Erebus is a bit more scummier. No one will go in F tier. No, I cannot put anyone in F tier. It has to be more of an insult to Perturabo. Lorgar and Perturabo are both conflicting characters for me as they work in their roles, but they're still so frustrating to actually read. They're just not enjoyable when they're on the page. Yes. Yeah, actually, yes. I think you put it in the way I've been trying to put it. It's just very much in that aspect. Oh my god. They're petulant man children. They're pretty badly adjusted in general. And I understand why they're the way they are. I think their core story is good. I think Lorgar's core plot, like his fall to chaos, is a lot more interesting than Perturabo. But my problem is, yeah, like his personality is just rancid. I hate it. It makes me so annoyed because it reminds me of people I don't like in real life, where it's just some of those traits. Mainly the fact that also Lorgar is another character who acts like a man-child, like literal just child. There's another quote with Gilman, and you know the worst part? I referenced it in like a video once. I cannot find the quote. So if one of you actually knows the source of it, please let me know. There's a quote from Gilman where Gilman talks about Lorgar and says basically like Lorgar is a child, and the fact that like if something pleases him or like he likes you, it's like he's just, you know, your best fucking buddy. He's so kind to you. The moment you do something that slightly annoys him, he, like a child, he immediately hates you, starts throwing a tantrum, and like gets super upset. Which is yet another situation of like, my man, just please talk about your issues. Just communicate. Though also, Corpharon really put his fucking nails in him. Corpharon's a piece of shit. I think Corpharon is probably one of the scummiest characters in Warhammer. And that's saying something, because one of the other most scummiest Warhammer characters is Erebus. So, fitting that they're in the same legion. You know, actually, what was really fun is I don't remember if my original ranking of of the Primarchs, I don't think I got many Lorgar apologists in my comments. So who knows? Maybe it's a popular opinion, though most people were really they were more upset about the whole Sanguinius is a boring Conrad Kurz opinion, which I still stand by and I will not change. Let's see, more water real quick. Excuse me. I don't know. Though I do want to read the Horus Heresy books with Lorgar. I like First Heretic. I think yeah, that's the one. Because I've heard it's great. I've heard it's really good, and I probably will enjoy it. My issue is a lot of them are on Audible, and they're voiced by probably my least favorite narrator I've ever heard. The guy who voices those books makes me hate the books, so I just got to read it. It was probably Dark Imperium, actually. Maybe. I haven't been able to find it. It was like one of those book quotes you read on Reddit, and like I just lost it. I don't know where the page is. I don't know what book it's from. So I will see. If this video also I'm gonna edit down and like cut up. So if anyone like later in the comments, if you can tell me where the source is, like I'd be much appreciated. All right. Unless there's any more hot takes on Lorgar, or at least my placement of him. Let's see. I can move on to the next one, Alfarius, which I'm also gonna slap in B tier. Cause like, man, Alfarius is a character where I just don't know a lot about him, is the problem. I don't know a lot about him, but pure off vibes, I enjoy him. The one bit I have read with Alfarius is the Alpha Legion Horus Heresy book, which I immediately am blanking on the name of. I really like that book. Ah, shit. Yeah, I don't remember. It had John Grammaticus and the Cabal. That's all I remember the book was. But I really liked it. I thought it was a great time. And Alfarius is a really interesting Primarch. At least out there, Alfarius Omegon for who knows which one is which I think is such a goofy character concept. I really enjoy that. But the whole aspect in that book where Alfarius, like the manner he carries himself in, is in that character concept of like, he doesn't need to outwardly be a dick to you. Because there's a character in that book where he's just being an asshole to Alfarius. Like he's trying to order him around, and he's just a dude in like the Imperial Guard, like a captain. And Alfarius the whole time is just kind of quietly like, all right, man, because the whole time he has a scheme in place to like kill him. Oh, Legion, yeah, thank you. Just Legion. I kept wanting to say Alpha Legion for the book title, so I was half right. Because that doesn't sound like a good name for a book, but just Legion. You know, also I'm like figuring out. Apparently, I'm in the minority of people who actually like John Grammaticus as a character. Though I understand that it gets worse as like the books go on. I like John Grammaticus because he reminds me of characters I've played in tabletop games. I play a lot of like very charismatic, deception-based dudes. Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, the book has flaws. It 100% has some flaws. I think there's some parts that drag on a little bit or are kind of just annoying. But overall, I think the characters and the plot is really fun. Introducing the Cabal, one of the bigger flaws too is the fact that like it sets up a lot of things that I know don't get paid off in a satisfying way later in the series. Then yeah, Alfarius is a pick I do purely on vibes, because I think when like the Alpha Legion are written at their best, they are written in a method I like, which is characters that are actually intelligent, written intelligently. So it doesn't feel like they're just winning. Because 40k has both aspects of this. You have characters where they're like hyper intelligent geniuses, and you're told how smart they are, or how they're like just absolute master tacticians. When then it's written how they're doing said things, like they're in a scene, it feels like things are just working in their favor. I do feel like Alpha Legion has the tendency to really be the haha, I had a plan the whole time. But then at their best, it's set up in a way where you're like, oh, this is so justified. Like I believe that they set this up like such a long time ago. They had sleeper agents all over, and everything was so prepared. Which I think is the heat of like the Alpha Legion and Alpharius. And also the whole bit of god damn, which which one is alive? Like switching their names like from Alpharius to Omegon. Because like I think yeah, it's Alpharius is still out there. At least his entire legion is claiming to be him. I don't like the part where Alpharius is like, oh shit, you guys are right, didn't take much convincing. I can see it, though I think there's some more bits in there. I don't know. I'd have to reread that section, don't get me wrong. This is off of memory of a book I read like, I want to say like half a year ago or something. It's been a hot minute. I think the whole segment too was him being like, I agree, but in the aspect you don't like, where it's that book lays out the beginning of the part of, is Alpharius actually like loyal, because he very much goes in the avenue of I believe you, but I'm going to go about this a little differently than you guys anticipate. Though also the Cabal's plan is fucking stupid, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand why people hate the Cabal. I think it's understandable why they do the things they're doing. They explain their motives pretty well. But like, damn, the Cabal being like, yeah, we've seen the future, so we're just gonna let all of humanity die, to where then Eldrad is like, wait a fucking sec, that's just gonna feed chaos. What the fuck are you talking about? Which, Eldrad's the biggest bro. I love Eldrad so much. He's the only Eldar I actually enjoy. Like, written out as a character. Yeah, I don't have much else to really say about Alpharius, so I'll move on to my boy Conrad Kurz, who I like so much, I made an entire video of why I believe he's the best Primarch, or at least the best written, because holy shit, Conrad Kurz's Primarch book is so fucking good. It is fantastic. So, like I've said earlier in the stream, for those who were not here for it, I really like my characters, like, my favorite characters are so flawed. Oh my god, they're pieces of shit. And I don't think anyone really hits the height of Kurz's being a piece of shit. Oh man. The part that also gets me with Conrad is the fact that he is a character where you're just like, you're so close to getting it, you're so close to the point, and then he takes it too far because he's just fucking insane. His whole really strong sense of justice and right, though really in a black and white like setting where any minor offense is just horrible murder, which is the problem. Like, you know, actually bringing justice in like order to places important. And then he goes down the line of, and then I'm gonna skin them, and it's like, no dude, my man, stop. And also the aspect that I adore about Kurz is his big storyline is the fact that he can tell the future. And so he gets all of these portents of the future, and he sees himself like in these being a horrible, horrible monster. And the only way he can justify to himself anything that he does, all of his actions are completely accurate, like correct and justified purely due to the fact that like he believes fate is predetermined. You do not have free will. Everything is decided before you. And that aspect, like, well, I have to. I was made this way by Pops. I gotta be a monster. When no, he's wrong. And, like, that's the part I love. I love the fact he's wrong. Sanguinius has a better outlook on his, like, foresight powers. Because Sanguinius is well adjusted. Sanguinius was raised by a decent group of people who actually cared about him, which is what makes him boring. You heard it here first. Having a good childhood makes you boring. I'm not kidding. But yeah, that's my bit with him, with Kurz. I really like the fact that Kurz is a piece of shit, but he has to mentally justify being a piece of shit. When you really dig deep, like, especially in the Primarch book he's in, he enjoys it, and he was pretending he doesn't. But there are so many times where he's doing something, like, really fucked up, purely for fun. And, like, he's doing it because he's bored. There's a whole sequence where he's, like, he has some guy as his pet flying this void ship he took over. And the guy it's from his perspective, and he's talking about how every once in a while Kurz would sneak up on him and just take fingers and shit from him because he's bored. It's like, the man's not committing a crime. Kurz is just lying to himself. And that's what I love. I love that that dynamic, that mental dynamic of like justifying your own existence and your own like actions to that aspect. In the parts where the only moments he shows fear are the parts where he could be wrong, and that means that, you know, he willingly became a monster. Can hardly wait how that statement comes up with Korax and Vulcan. Yeah, you know what? He did fuck up Vulcan in an annoying way, you know? The whole bit where he's endlessly torturing Vulcan, and then the fact with Korax where they fought and hit Korax for a brief moment was like, oh my god, we're so similar. I think Kurz is one of those characters because he had an actual end for his journey. They were able to write that actual character arc so they couldn't for others. Yes, that is very true. That is a very good point that I think a lot of people don't bring up when it comes to the Primarchs and how they're written. And it is the sad, sad fact that a lot of these Primarchs like have really bad writing and really bad just general storytelling because the authors had to write in reverse, which is really difficult. It is so hard. Because you can have, like, really good arcs for these characters because you know where they end up. So their beginning is really ironic. Shit like Horus, characters like Fulgrim. You have these moments where it's really ironic, and then their fall is super well done. And then you get aspects like Magnus, which I adore Magnus, don't get me wrong. But Magnus's fall is really forced. The whole bit with, like, the Space Wolves attack on Prospero. Like, that whole aspect where he's just making decisions really weirdly, I think it feels really bad. Like, it doesn't feel in character for Magnus. But on the other hand, you have to view it from the aspect of these writers are doing the best they can with the difficult job of, we have the end point for these characters. Here's the start point. Make it work. Because not everyone is going to get out cleanly. I think some are really just, like, really well done when they have that end. Because actually, yeah, thinking about it, the ones that are actually for sure dead, shit like Ferris, Sanguinius, and Conrad Kurz, they all have really interesting character arcs, and their death, like, hits, and they're just fun all-around characters because they can kind of do what they want in that brief little period where they're alive. So I think that's a fantastic point. That is one of the aspects that makes Kurz really, really strong as a character. I closed the door of my my computer room where my computer is, and my cat is quite upset. I guess I should let her in real quick. Otherwise, she's gonna rip up the carpet. Come on. There she goes. Can't close a door in my home, you know? It doesn't help that GW's original approach, hey, this sounds like a cool scene, and there's little connecting tissue in their plans. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's something that comes up pretty often. And that's something I've been just generally taught about in my film school. One sec, there's a cat getting on top of me. Hello, Ripley. I have a cat. That cat that appears in my videos sometimes. That is my cat, Ripley, or I guess some people in my audience call her servitor cat, which I think is fun, especially because she's the least helpful creature in existence. So let's see. Yeah, the aspect that happens a lot that you see in screenwriting, which is my realm of expertise when it comes to writing, an aspect where you can read something and be like, okay, you very clearly had a couple of key points, and like you have some scenes that are unironically awesome, which 40K has a lot of that, and the Horus Heresy hits that a lot, where you're like, damn, these scenes, they hit super hard. But like writing to get to the scene is difficult because you have to force a character to be in the right position. And a lot of times doing that is, again, difficult. It's the same deal as like writing in reverse. Like, I don't envy the Black Library authors when they're writing the Horus Heresy. I think a lot of them did really well. It's just, goddamn, that is such a difficult job to be handed. To like, all right, figure it out, bucko. get these characters in the right position and make the fans happy with it, which is where a lot of the issues in the Horus Heresy book series actually comes up in, which is very fair. I think leaving a lot of stuff out in the open means that like you can build this really cool personal interpretation of how the story went, and your version of a storyline and of a plot point is going to be your favorite version of it, because the official one just might not hit all the notes you want it to hit. Yeah, I guess the little bit of narrative, I don't know, the bit of writing feedback I can give, but that is a key issue with some of the Primarchs. So I'm happy that that's brought up. It's an important thing to bring up for a thing like this. All right. Oh boy. I am going. I'm gonna move on unless anyone has anything more to say about Conrad Kurz. Any dissuading opinions? Because I do know there's a decent chunk of people who hate Kurz. I don't understand why, but you know what? People can believe what they want to believe, unless they disagree with me, and they're wrong. But in the meantime, just quickly ranking Russ. Good old A tier. I think Lehman is very cool. He's a very fun character. I adore when he shows up. I adore his scenes with other Primarchs and his brothers and all that. I think he's a fun character. I like me some Viking shit. I don't care about the wolf stuff. Never been a wolf person. I don't know. I'm not a middle schooler. You know. I feel like everyone in middle school grew up around like the wolf girl or whatever. Hopefully, if everyone's has that unique experience of a person. But Lehman Russ, I think, is very fun. He hits a character note I like a lot, which is the secret, like, intelligent guy. He plays the dumbass, and he plays it really well. And I adore that, because I think it's such a cool, like, character idea, where he plays, like, the brute in the Vikings. Everyone doesn't expect him to pop off when he does. But he's got it down. He's a great military tactician. He's very loyal. A lot of his fights with his brothers are really fun. You know, his whole thing being the Emperor's executioner and all. Though I will also mention, in a lot of the fights he did with his brothers, despite being the Emperor's executioner and the best at killing Primarchs, he's killed shockingly little Primarchs. A lot of them ended in a draw, or him kind of losing. That was the thing I did when I was breaking down his story in the Lehman Russ video. Was going through every single fight with him. Did the music change? No, it's just almost over. Let's restart it. There we go. Lehman is a character I also don't have like that much to say about, to be completely honest. Because I just overall think he's fun. I think he's a very fun character. I'm curious for when he comes back, because I think he'd be a really fun Primarch to like see. Just I want to know what happened when he left. That's all I want to know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he killed the lost Primarchs. I think it's pretty. Man, I know I stumbled across some theories that he didn't, but it's pretty kind of confirmed that Russ did kill the two missing Primarchs, or at least got them captured. Because when I made a video a while back on everything we know about the missing Primarchs, and I ran it past a guy I know in my area, who's part of my local Warhammer community, who's actually one of the biggest lore nerds I know. Like, he is so much more knowledgeable about 40k than I am, and I'd consider myself pretty like up to date, pretty well versed in this shit. But, it's expansive and big. I can only learn so much, or at least remember so much. He ran through my video and gave me like a lot more like points, and he also has like basically a perfect memory, so I trust him. In fact, he actually contributed a lot to Lexiconum, which is the preferred wiki site. Warhammer Wikia, I hate the fandom wiki with a passion. But yeah, it is pretty confirmed that Russ did it. I found a funny theory that Lionel Johnson did it, but it's not accurate. Russ is also fun for me, but I've realized that he might also be the one Primarch where the chapter itself has eclipsed him in the recent books. Yeah, which is sad for me, because I am not a big Space Wolf guy, because, like, the wolf aesthetic's not my thing. I want them to be more Viking than they are werewolf. Because I just don't care. It's the same thing with, like, Blood Angels. Like, whatever. The whole vampire shtick doesn't get me. They stress more the Viking part in the process. That's good, I guess. Still, just like, I don't know. The book I know for sure I need to read is the one where they go to war against the Grey Knights and the Inquisition. Because I've heard that's pretty cool. And I like their chapter master. It's Logan Grimnar, if I'm not mistaken. Logan Grimnar is pretty dope. And there's a lot of really cool Space Wolf characters that I want to know more about. And also, I guess, read the Space Wolf Omnibus, which I've also heard is fantastic. In fact, whenever I was doing research, I made that one guide to start reading 40k video, which I honestly think I could do better now. I mean, I think all my videos I could do better. I look back at some of my old Primarch videos and I'm like, ugh, this is disgusting. I hate this. I think a lot of people mentioned that Space Wolf is a fantastic introduction and is a really good omnibus. So I need to read it, and I will read it at some point. But yet again, I have a big backlog of books, and goddamn. Right now I'm working on the Fabius Bile trilogy, and then I'm gonna read Genefather. I'm like halfway through the second book of the Fabius Bile trilogy, which I'm getting close to where he meets Trazyn, and I'm very excited because Trazyn is like my favorite 40k character of all time, and then Fabius Bile is my second favorite 40k character of all time. Okay, yeah, the first Space Wolf Omnibus. I've heard good things, and I'm curious about it. I think it'd be a fun read. Or I guess fun listen, because I listen to it at work on Audible. Yeah, I mean, Russ is just solid. I think he's pretty fun. I need to get back into reading the Horus Heresy, so I can see him pop up more. The second omnibus is one of the worst 40k book series that's ever been done. That is saying a lot. There are some fucking stinkers in Black Library. So if the Space Wolf Omnibus, the second one, is that bad, oh boy. I'm another book you've mentioned this stream. Now I'm just curious. I don't think I think if I saw how bad it was, I'd stop watching partway, or stop listening partway through. But like, goddamn. But you know, let's move on to Jagatai Khan, which I'm also gonna hot take. I think Jagatai Khan is very cool. Though again, this is like much like in my previous ranking of him. I have not read the books in the Horus Heresy where he pops up, and I know that some of the books that the Khan is in are apparently not very good, which worries me because I think that he could very much be a character where the concept of him is cooler than the execution. Have a scene where they go to a strip club in Space Marine armor? Fucking excuse me? Huh. Oh, Jesus. Yes, also, you do hear a cat. Is that actually audible on stream? I don't know what... I can't hear it, like... Obviously, I can hear my own mic. But, what, you guys just hear purring or something? Cat, also, you can't... Stop staring at Sanguinius. That is my cat Ripley, or Servitor Cat, as some of the comments have called her. She just got face to face with my monitor, staring nose touching my monitor to Sanguinius, which I am offended by. She's my cat. She should know better. She should know that Curse is an easy S tier. Okay, yeah, you can hear the purring. When I come back to edit this stream, I'm curious how that'll sound. Yeah, the cat wants to open their own YouTube channel. I swear, when I got this cat, I am not going to become the pet owner that makes a pet account. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's a little weird, to be completely honest. But if it makes people happy, power to them, I guess. The cat's name is Ripley, as in Ripley from the Alien movies. My cat does not have good taste. Sanguinius is boring and lame. Kurz is better. Dorn is better. And the character we're talking about, Jagatai Khan, is better. Jagatai Khan, I at least see a lot of dialogue exchanges with him that are really fun. Which I mean is the thing everyone hears. Everyone knows that like, man, he fucked up Mortarion. Something good. Like he put him down real hard. Okay. There's also an ad playing right now apparently, and I don't know if now there's people just can't hear me. So in that case, I think my cat wants out of my office. So you probably will not hear purring. Because the whole time, too, she was just writhing, laying on my arm and chest, because she wants to sit on me whenever she can. It's not, believe it or not, it's not that Ripley. It's the other Ripley from the movies, Alien. Which, man, that was actually what happened when I texted my family and, like, showed off. Like, oh, I got a cat. Check it out. And then her name's Ripley. And then they were like, oh, believe it or not. Yeah, I think, like, I was really testing and like fine tuning my audio, so I don't know. I'm using Streamlabs, and there's parts of a Streamlabs that I like, and some parts I think are annoying. The fact that I wasn't able to hear the audio I'm like trying to fiddle with it. Like I can't hear my voice playback, man. I can't set up like an audio gate or a noise suppression to like block off certain background noise, which annoys me as someone who really likes fiddling with audio stuff, which you wouldn't tell by my audio quality in some of my videos. But Jagatai Khan, I think the Khan is still like I haven't gotten to the point I was hoping I would by the time like now that when I originally made my Primarch tier list. I want the Khan to be cool, and I really hope he is, you know? I hope that his execution is, because I see a lot of things in 40k where like the core parts of the story are significantly cooler sometimes than the actual execution of it, where the writing of the events is lame and cringe and dumb, but then meanwhile you have the parts on like the wiki or on YouTube channels like mine where someone explains it and you're like, this sounds sick, because yet again you're building a story in your own mind, and that story in your mind is always going to be better than the story on the page, because it's just what you do when you leave things up to interpretation. You will make your ideal version of it, and then when someone comes along and makes a official version, it might just not be as good. Yeah, I guess Khan depends on how much you value cool moments versus journey between them. Exactly. Which, as someone who can write off a lot of the Horus Heresy's flaws in that aspect, because I look at and sympathize with the really difficult job that the writers had, I value the moments that are really cool. And the only other bit that'll break that for me, because I can be very forgiving to the Horus Heresy books. I mean, the one I'm the most forgiving out is the Battle of the Abyss, that one book in the Horus Heresy that a lot of people don't like, which I think is for fair reason. Don't get me wrong. That book is a little boring in some aspects, and it's really just weird combat stuff, and it has a lot of problems. But I think the combat is kind of fun. Like it's a fun book. It feels very like campy sci-fi, like pulp, rather than, I guess, a story in the Horus Heresy, which is both a flaw and I don't know. Yeah, and then you are correct. His disappearance is super anticlimactic, like super. He literally just said like, I'm going to the webway. I'm going to fuck up the Dark Eldar, and that was the extent of it, which is so lame. It's another Fulgrim issue of like Fulgrim getting unpossessed just happening off screen. I feel like they could have just done better with that specifically. Who said his writing sucks? Utter nonsense. Warhawk is the best Horus Heresy book I've ever read. That's cool. I hope so. I hope I agree, to be honest. I would like if every book in Horus Heresy was a banger. I don't know if it was specifically Warhawk they were mentioning. It might have been some of the other ones. And also it could have been just talking about some of the White Scar books themselves, not actually the like Jagatai Khan books. So I am relating information I heard from actually set of people in my local Warhammer community who know my tastes, I know their tastes, and like we can recommend each other stuff with pretty good accuracy. So I'm taking it with this grain of salt of I've heard it from a person whose opinion I trust. Though in one of them, I've also noticed we always have reverse opinions on stuff. He loves the books that I say are dog shit, so who knows. Khan is not trapped in the webway of the Try. They're trapped in there with him. Yeah, exactly. He's going so fast. He's going too fast for them to catch, and then he, I don't know, kills him or something, which is funny, because with all the stuff in the webway, there's no signs of Jagatai Khan, so who knows where he is. The... Yeah, oh, the White Scar books are not good. Okay, so that might be what I'm talking about. Be it the Horus Heresy or the specific later ones. I've heard some issues with the White Scar books, so... The Warhawk, if Warhawk is that good, I'll take your word for it. Alright. But I guess, anyone else? Anyone got any real opinions on Jagatai Khan? Oh, man. Jesus, it's going on for like an hour and 20 minutes. Jesus. It's the most talking I do in like a set moment. Yeah, I think all in all, like, Jagatai Khan is a character that just the general dialogue is okay, I think Warhawk was written by Chris Wright. I'm gonna quickly look up books Chris Wright has done. I think I'm spelling this right. Though, granted, you actually typed it in my chat, so I can copy it. What books has he done? Just to make sure that if I know any of them, I can agree or disagree. You know, for what it's worth, I have not read these books at all. At least the ones that popped up. Battle of the Fang. Oh, I heard Battle of the Fang is good. So I guess I need to check that one out. And then... Oh, never mind. He wrote the Carrion Throne. There it is. The Volta Terra series. I adore that series. So, all right, Chris Wright. He's officially based. I definitely didn't just read the Volta Terra series because there's a Custodes on the front. But yeah, I guess that really sums up Jagatai Khan. He's a fast boy with some absolutely banging dialogue. The parts where he just lays into Mortarion about about the whole part of him really requesting like, join my side, brother, and then the Khan is like, yeah, your side is dog shit, dude. You made an awful decision. Now you're asking me because everyone else around you is just insane. Because he made some very good points. You allied yourself with Angron and Kurz. Whoa, that speaks great of your rebellion. Okay. Now for... I'm sorry, Tony, I'm sorry. Gilliman. Robute Gilliman, who is a firm D tier, right next to his best friend Lorgar. His best brother. I still am not a fan of Gilliman conceptually. Yeah, there it is. I knew it. Listen, Gilliman is a character where I'm like, goddamn, he's just a little boring, just a little lame. However, the parts of him that are better and really cool is him in the 40K. Him in 40K is genuinely interesting. Him in the Horus Heresy is fucking snooze fest, just like the Ultramarines themselves. The only thing I can give him is that, like, at least Gilliman is more interesting than his sons. I just don't like the Ultramarines at all. I think they're just kind of boring, and that's okay, because I think the Ultramarines need to exist the way they do. Because, I mean, I made the big video on it. I got on my soapbox that, again, I really fight for the idea of you need to have some narrative things when it comes to 40K. This is a story. You need a faction that is the easy one to get into. You have the one that is like the poster child, where they're the face of it, and then everything else is a deviation of that. It's like Ultramarines are right in the center, and there's a giant web of like wiggly lines that connect every other character and every other every other chapter in Legion. That is the Ultramarine thing. However, I'll also state, having read more books in the coming year and being a little less inflammatory, you know what? Maybe Gilliman needs to rise up a little bit. Maybe the ranking of him could change just a tad. Just like higher, maybe. I don't know. What are you all feeling, chat? Like an A tier? Maybe go crazy and put him in S tier. You know? I think personally, I want to put him in C tier. I think it's a fair placement for him, to be honest. I think Gilliman is just a point where I think in current stories he's really interesting. But like it's not gonna block the fact that he is just vanilla ice cream, and not even like French vanilla, not even like good vanilla, you know. He's just vanilla. The the Gilliman AI scene. Yeah, no, you're right. I do want to read that in Gene Father because that is fucking hysterical. Like just builds an AI that he can argue with to beat Gilliman in arguments is so funny. I love Call. I love Belisarius Call. He's such a dickhead. There though, Gilliman in C tier. Is this a compromise? Next year he'll be on B. We'll see. If next year I do a stream of reviewing my own stream, just like going through like, oh, what the fuck was I on? Or will I completely agree with all my takes? Because I'm a consistent man, you know? I'm definitely not really flip-floppy. Or definitely not just... you know what's the thing I definitely don't do? I don't make a rash and immediate surface value, like, judgment on something, and then later have to justify it, like, be it forced in a position like this, or learn that the position I had was completely unfounded and stupid, so then I have to walk it back. Definitely not something I do all the time. My friends and the couple friends that popped into the chat can attest for that. Or my buddy, Bad Luck Gamer on YouTube, who I do streams with every Thursday, where I do that pretty often. I play a lot of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and there's a lot of stuff in that game where I'm like, that's a dumb name, and I scroll past. And then I look at it later after he points out how cool it is, where I'm like, damn, I was just wrong. This feat rules, or this ability is so cool. I am consistent. I'll be consistent about this. And this is my moment where I'm honestly discussing the Primarchs. This isn't like a jokey being as jokey or inflammatory. This is I genuinely am updating this list. So I can take the fact that people will disagree, but at least they're gonna now be able to disagree with like my real full thought out, full stated opinion. Which also, by the way, I completely respect anyone who likes Gilliman. As much as I might think he's boring, I can respect why people do like him. I think there's a lot of stuff there to like. I just don't agree. Because, again, I like fucking weird piece of shit characters. And Gilliman's a little nice. Though, I guess, also not. He's kind of a dick, still. Like everyone at 40k, you know? Also, for the lot of you in chat now that like Gilliman, I also want to hear this just to make sure how correct I am. The fact that in anyone who thinks that Gilliman is their absolute favorite Primarch, I have my theory, my personal theory that I've yet to be proven wrong on. If you can say that Gilliman is your absolute favorite Primarch, like he's the top of your list, you have 1,000 hours in some 4X grand strategy game. You are a Paradox like 4X player. You have 1,000 hours in Europa Universalis, Stellaris, whatever it is. I also say that as someone with a lot of hours in Stellaris. Not that much, not as much as that. Not as much as you Gilliman fans. I can't get how boring he is in the Heresy. Yeah, I don't know. It's the sad aspect of it. That's another part where I really want to get to some of his spots in the Heresy, like read them. But I have read. Okay, embarrassing part. I've read a couple chapters of Dark Imperium. I really like Dark Imperium. Don't get me wrong. I think it was really well written. I didn't stop reading it because it was bad. I stopped reading it because it was a physical book and I brought on a vacation and I didn't read because I don't read. I'm a fucking like Gen Z TikTok addled brain. I can't sit down and read a book anymore. Indomitus. Gilman is my favorite character in 40K. Don't play strategy games. Damn it. You're the only person. You are the only person I have met, just I guess digitally like this. Like that has not admitted to it or like not went along with the theory. You're the one outlier I've seen. Congratulations. Because everyone else I've asked, I have friends who are big Gilman fans, like absolutely big fans, and then I see their Steam activity. I see them sitting in Hearts of Iron. I see them playing Victoria or whatever. I don't play a lot of those games. They're too big brained, and I don't want to play a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. You know, it's 10th on your list. I mean, you know. I guess that's lower than average or the middle of all the Primarchs. All right, let's move to I guess another character. I'm spending a lot on Gilliman here, but I'm gonna give Mortarion. Mortarion's another C tier. I'm currently staring at a cardboard cutout of Gilliman and whispering that it'll be all right. It won't be all right, Gilliman. That is great. Just there, make sure he's feeling okay. You know, he's got a lot on his plate. He's got a lot to deal with in the current 40K situation. He doesn't need more my hatred of him put on that plate. He is in the yeah. He would want to be that if Gilliman knew like people could he could fucking words. Jesus, been talking for a bit. If Gilliman could like see our worlds and know that there's rankings, I feel like he'd want to be in the middle, because he's just a little humble in that way, at least probably. Again, I haven't read all the Gilliman books. This is all surface level. But Mortarion is the bane of my existence on tabletop. I hate this man playing against him because the Death Guard are probably the most aggravating faction I have ever seen in Warhammer. Or actually just any game in general. I think that Death Guard are really cool aesthetically. Like, listen, all the people that even swang in here and said that Mortarion sucks. His style, though, is sick. Like, his model is so cool. But the problem is that Mortarion is another fucking man-child. Where Mortarion's entire thing is just him coping and seething that he didn't get to kill his dad. And don't get me wrong, Emps probably didn't handle it the greatest. He could have done it a little better. Because like many things with the Emperor, he could have turned it into a father-son bonding experience and like hand-in-hand decapitated his evil necromancer pops. Instead of being like, haha, you almost died to the poison cloud like I said you would. Anyways, you're mine now. That's the part I like, actually. I really like that Mortarion is so hated by everyone else, because Mortarion's the type of guy that brings down the mood of any room he's in. Probably because he fucking stinks and he has big stink tubes that like breathe gross air to his face. I imagine just his presence is bad to be in. But also the fact that he's just sullen and kind of annoying in that aspect where like, God, he is so like up his own ass and like so judgmental. It was a bit, I think, in what was it? Was it horror? It was either Dark Gods, or False Gods, the second book, or the third book for the Horus Heresy series, where Mortarion shows up. Oh no, it's the third one with Nathaniel Garrow. But like when he shows up, and he just has like completely unpainted shit, and he's just being kind of a dickhead to Horus. It's pretty fun. I like that aspect. Though, I guess the only Primarch he got along with was Horus, and even then, Jesus. I'll be back after the upload. I just want to make sure my Space Wolves were treated fairly. Yeah, they're solid A tier. I mean, I wouldn't put the Space Wolves, like, in my video, ranking every Space Marine chapter. I wouldn't put the Space Wolves super high up. But I think Russ is at least solid. He's a fun character. But yeah, this will be edited, by the way. I'm gonna edit this down and release this probably Thursday, going back through this, and it'll be an experience. I want to stream more, and when I stream, I kind of want to cut it down to YouTube stuff because I really like cut down live streams because I'm not a person who can sit through a live stream very easily. So yeah, I'm making content that I'd want to watch. That's kind of my methodology. He leans hard in the gimmick in the Dark Imperium to the degree it makes it more enjoyable than with Lorgar or Perturabo. I can see that. I can completely see that, honestly. Again, I need to finish Dark Imperium. It looks super cool, but Mortarian's just kind of fun in that aspect. If everyone dunks on him, he's so gross and awful. But on the other hand, his aesthetic is top. Like, top tier. Holy shit. Is one of Morty's Primarch powers the ability to drain the life out of someone? I don't know, actually. That is a good question. I've never read that. If people have any answers for that I don't, please chime in. Yes, everyone say hi to the YouTube viewers. I'll have to start doing that in some of my streams, I guess, if I'm doing more in the future, which I plan to. By the way, Mortarion and Typhus also hate each other with such purity. Yeah, that I also love. I really, really like the fact that they fucking hate each other. In the aspect that they lean on very different aspects of Nurgle. Because Typhus is really far in the, like, spreading pestilence and giving the gifts of Nurgle, when Mortarion really plays into the idea of stagnancy and the fact he kind of sits around and sulks most of the time. Which I enjoy that. I like that we're getting both aspects of the Chaos God, but built into that. So you have like both sides of the same gross disease cauldron coin, you know? Which I respect that. I really like that. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, there's the part I know that's in the Dark Imperium too, where Typhus just fucking leaves with a bunch of Death Guard, and Mortarion's like, "Where are you going? We have a war to fight." And he's like, "Later, loser. Nurgle told me to go somewhere else," which I think is hilarious. Personally, I feel Morty is nearly just an incel as Purdy, but his aesthetic is on point. See, that's the difference. The fact that Mortarion knows how to dress himself, which, you know what, is a skill that that's needed. I say as someone who is not very good at that. All I have is graphic tees and jeans. That's me dressing up for the occasion, except for the couple of videos where I'm wearing just basketball shorts because I don't want to get in pants in my own home. Oh, the scene is even better than that? Hell yeah. I mean, hey, if that's the overview I saw on a wiki, so who knows? Cause that's what when I made that video on Typhus when I was really sick. Oh god. Fuck Nurgle. You know what? Nurgle, least favorite Chaos God, because how often I got sick in 2023. That was pretty bad. Well, bathing is like anathema to them, you know? He can't get in a big bath. Also, he's too depressed to do it. He's just laying on his big diseased couch, probably playing something on Switch or something. The Amber King made a short about the Primarch abilities, and he said that Mortarion drains the vitality out of anyone. I mean, hey, if that's true, that's a pretty dope power. I also am not saying that like you're wrong or anything. I just haven't read it, so that's new information to me. That is pretty cool though. Also, I trust the Amber King. I think he's pretty cool. He is one of the 40K content creators I still enjoy. Though, admittedly, I don't watch many 40K YouTubers anymore since, like, making 40K content. Because, I do a lot of reading, I gotta say. So, a lot of times, I don't want to watch a 40K video when I'm, you know, just not reading 40K. I have a lot of weird video essays or podcast shit that I listen to instead. It's just sad, because there are a lot of 40K creators that I still super respect and like enjoy the content style of, but I see a 40K video on YouTube anymore, I don't really click it because I'm like, I probably already know this, or I just spent a lot of time researching. I'm good. No wonder nobody wants to be around Morty's a literal drain. Yeah, he's like an energy vampire, not like, He just drains you when he's nearby. Although he just showed up like 10 minutes ago, but I laughed my ass off. You made an F tier just to put Ferdy lower. Yeah, not my idea, admittedly. That was my friend who suggested that, but yeah, I'll 100% do it to dunk on Purdy more. He deserves it. Fuck Purdy. All right, I guess moving off of Mortarion, Korax. Korax is another Primarch that I changed my opinion of. I'm putting him in A tier. I like Corvus. Actually, wait a sec. Do I want to put him in A tier? Okay, I'm gonna talk this out and then see if I want to raise him or not. Cause I really like Corvus, but I'm trying to like, because Corvus Corax I think is a really cool Primarch in the aspect I think he's playing a really cool like loner type in a fun way. I really like the Raven Guard. I love his like teachings of the Raven Guard too. I love his methodology. I really like some of the parts how he's written. Granted, the book Deliverance or Deliverance Lost or whatever, I thought fucking sucked. I genuinely did not like that book. But that also could be the fact it's narrated on Audible by my least favorite 40k audiobook reader. I forget the name of him, but I genuinely don't like that. Let me find it. Biggest shock that I didn't put Korax in S tier. I know, that's... I just... I don't know. I want to, but I feel like... See, this is also me being like, I don't want to crowd a tier, but like... I like Warhammer, you know? Just for the jetpack is fair as well. Okay. He's going S tier. I love Corvus. I love Corvus Corax. He's so cool. I love me good old Bird. He is he's such a fun character. I like his weapons. Obviously his drip is fantastic. As a young edgy edgelord fan, you know, my favorite like character growing up was Shadow the Hedgehog. I was a big Shadow the Hedgehog kid, so like yeah, Corvus appeals to where I'm like, God, he's so fucking just so dark and brooding, so goofy. Also the fact of where he is currently, I think he is one of the best like Primarch leaving scenes, you know, like, or at least concept, not even just scene, not referencing the actual book it happens in, but the whole aspect. He is one of the few characters in Warhammer, and like kind of the only, like Gilman I think would be the only other one who like feels genuine guilt over the actions of the Horus Heresy. Like, he is cursed with the burden of empathy, which I adore. For what it's worth, there's an amazing scene in one of the Dawn of Fire books where an Iron Warrior remembers Istvan where an angry Korax shows up and tears apart tanks with bare hands. It still haunted this particular Iron Warrior 10 millennia later. That is terrifying. See, that's the part that's so cool about Corvus Corax, is the fact that he's fucking scary. And a lot of people are just like, yeah, he's, you know, stealth, edgy Birdman. But then, like, currently, he leaves real space, he goes into the Eye of Terror to hunt down the Primarchs. Granted, he's done a bad job of it for the 10,000 years, he hasn't caught any of them yet. Though, hilariously, he's just harassing Lorgar as, like, a big, shape-shifting, like, shadow bird demon. Not actually a demon, but, you know. And terrified Lorgar to the point of locking himself in, like, his special magic tower. That is so fucking funny. And the fact that consistently a lot of characters have like that level of just fear of Corvus. It is very that is sick. I wanna see that scene, because you know what, that would scare an Iron Warrior. The idea of someone just ripping apart their battle machines and their tanks with their bare hands. Jesus. I like the fact that Korax is a character that just really has empathy and feels for people and like cares. I really like that. I like my characters flawed and fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I've been saying that this whole stream, but it is nice to have one where I feel like his flaw is empathy in a setting where that's not really in abundance or really existence. You know, because there's some sequences like what he did with like the Raptor Project and like the fucked up mutants he made, the creatures that lived in endless pain. He felt horrible for that. Like, he had to do it, but it haunted him. The that quote "side with blood," yeah. The difference of the actual quote, I think that it is Corvus crashing against the door, screaming, "I have tasted your blood. I have your scent. I'll hunt you to the end of the earth, Lorgar." And then Lorgar's just hiding in his little like church, being like, "I'm just praying. I'm just gonna pray him away, and he'll leave." I actually love that Corvus corrects Shadow Demon, which is one of the reasons why I'm nervous that GW's walking it back in Reese's updated theories about where Corax is. I are you just talking about like the fact he isn't demonic? Because I thought that's always been there. I don't know what they've been walking back, so please let me know. I'm worried now. Though my main bit though, I want Corvus to come back, and I want him to at least have that aspect. I want him, you know what? Be cool about it, Games Workshop. Give me two models. Give me a model that is normal person form Corax, and give me absolutely fucked up Raven monster form. I want that. Like if he dies, he comes back with like lower wounds, but he's transformed into a different form or something. I want that. Though I'm okay if the main bit is that he isn't a demon. I think it's fair. Mainly because at least my interpretation of Corax and how that happened is there's a concept that came up. Oh, there we are. No, they basically included a description where some claim that Corax is in a stasis chamber somewhere. That's cringe. Nah, okay, I'm with you. That is lame as fuck. Ugh, I don't like that. Just like Argal Tall. Is he in... No, he's not in stasis, is he? I don't know. That's a book I haven't read, so I don't know. I do know I'd like the model idea. Okay, yeah. Oh wait, is that what Argal Tall has? That's sick, actually. Holy shit. I gotta look into that. I assume it's for the Horus Heresy game. But Corvus is really fun in that specific idea of like being that scary monster, and I really want them to have that in the tabletop. God, that'd be so cool. It's really recent. That's why I didn't know. I haven't been keeping up super much with it. So, but yeah, Corax. I like the fact that he has so much empathy, and man, I feel bad for him. He's one of the few Primarchs that like I can point to where he had a genuinely good childhood, and as such, he is the most well-adjusted. Like when I look at this list, when it comes to the coolest Primarchs, like morally speaking, we have Corax, we have Sanguinius, and Guilliman, and Vulcan. Those four are like the coolest in the main like people, just morality and personal code, because the one key reason is that they had parents who cared about them, and every other person here had some weird fucked up backstory. Also love Corax, probably my second favorite Primarch after Indominus Guilliman. Fair, actually, that's super fair. I think there's a lot to love about Corax, and I think that a lot of the things I think he's just one of those characters that's kind of overlooked. Sadly, I don't blame people for overlooking it. There's a lot you can just write off on the surface level, but it makes me sad. You know, I like him a lot. I mean, I literally have a Raven Guard army. It's sourced from like gifts from people, because when people ask like for certain like events, be it like Christmas or birthdays, I'm always just like, hey, if you just give me Warhammer, just give me Space Marine stuff, you know. Yeah, I'll use that, and I have a decent amount of Raven Guard. Oh god, I'm gonna cough real quick. No, well, yeah, Gilman was the only one to have a mom. Well, I guess naturally, sorry, I was coughing, that fucked me up. The Corvus had a mom. Corvus was raised by women. It was like a matriarchal society he was raised in. Honestly, I really like the new Lionel Johnson, but he only has one book. I need to read that. I'm actually really curious. Okay, people who have like I'm also prepping my thoughts for the next one. I want to hear this. People who have read the new Lionel Johnson book, like, is he as cool as I hoped? Like, I want to hear how dope he is, because I don't know much other than he's returned and his new model rules, and that book is on my list. So if he's as cool as I've been hoping, I'll be very happy. Because I want my want is that Lionel Johnson does the same thing as modern Gilliman, where I can look at him and really enjoy him now. Because like current Gilliman, Indominus era Gilliman, is fucking awesome. He's super cool. He's super fun. He's well written, and I want Johnson to be that because I want to like him, but it's just hard to because the bits I've read I'm not a fan of. Okay. Though next up we'll be talking about Horus. So I guess if there's any final thoughts on either Corvus or the direct question I asked on Lionel Johnson. Because he also looks like that I forget his name. I'm so bad with some actor names. The guy from Game of Thrones. He plays Tywin Lannister. He's like that cool ass grandpa, but then you mention Vietnam and 6 people get shot. Yeah, fair. That's about what I've expected. Also the fact that, I mean, he straight up killed Angron with a shield. Like, just that sequence where he's fighting Angron is really cool. That was super well written. I know there's, like, some mixed opinions on the Arc to Omen, like, actual quality of the writing. Especially because Vashtor was a bit disappointing. But, like, that sequence is fantastic. Charles Dance, thank you. That's it. Charles Dance. I have a curse as a film man. My education is watching and analyzing movies, and I live with 2 filmmakers. My God, the moment I try to reference an actor, their name vanishes from my mind. I love Charles Dance. I'll also say a really good thing if you're a fan of it. There's a Discworld adaptation of a miniseries called Going Postal, based off the book Going Postal. And in that, Charles Dance plays the Lord Venatari in Ankh-Morpork, which is the perfect casting for that character for anyone here that is a Discworld fan. And I cannot picture Lord Venatari as anyone but Charles Dance. Is perfect. I'm a big sci-fi guy. Like fantasy, I enjoy to an extent. Discworld is my favorite fantasy world and series, hands down. Also, the new Fallen Lion has around him are really cool side characters. Yeah, God, they're going really hard into the Fallen thing, and I need to read those books. I gotta get them at some point. I gotta catch up with the new stuff. I'm starting with Gene Father and moving from there. I've seen the Going Postal film. Yeah, I will say the film has flaws. Don't get me wrong. It has some issues. I guess miniseries. It's not the best thing. I think it is one of the best Discworld adaptations, and this is sad because there's the other Discworld adaptations are not very good sometimes. I'm looking at you, Guards. Weird bastardization of Guards. Or just the Ankh-Morpork City Watch, which is a fantastic series. Yeah, for a book series that is as beloved as Discworld, I'm really sad that there hasn't been just an actually objectively good movie or show. It fills me with great sadness. But alright, anyways, let's to 40K. Horus. I have to do this. I have to. Horus is A tier. I don't think Horus is fantastic, and the thing that really stops him from going up into S, to be honest, is the fact of books after the first couple Horus Heresy books exist. I think that he is fantastically written in the first few books. After that, later on, he does go more and more into the conniving evil villain arc, where he's really just fallen to chaos and is awful, and the really interesting parts of his character are kind of not as present, which is sad because his personality in the first 2 books is his fall, the actual writing of his fall up to the point where he decides to do the heresy is fantastic. It's very well done. Also, I have to like Horus because I'm a big Black Legion simp. And so his death is that important, you know? He's another Primarch where I'm happy that he died, and I hope they don't try to bring him back at some point, because that'll be really disappointing. The story, I think, is overall cheapened by the fact if he comes back. Yeah, with Horus, I'm amazed on how much the Heresy series managed to make him work. I agree on the flaws, but the baseline set by GW is just absurd. Yes, literally yes. It's the fact that, like, everything I mentioned in this stream, for all of you who have been here, like, the whole time, which y'all are very cool, the whole fact that with everything they had to deal with, all the bullshit where they're having to write in reverse, string all these events together, the fact that they did work and get Horus to be just genuinely good and working in the story is impressive. Because there's a universe out there where they didn't, and the Horus Heresy fumbled. I think that Dan Abnett set an absolutely fantastic set of building blocks that everyone else pulled from, for better or for worse. What would be the deciding factor to his fall? Well, he gets stabbed. Yeah, that is kind of what happens. Also, fuck Erebus. It's all his fault. Fuck that guy. I also really like Erebus's introduction into that part, because you really feel like he's just some conniving piece of shit. And yeah, he gets that special blade that he can't heal from. I like that Horus, though, really also plays the idea of being this really powerful, scary military leader, but really playing the diplomat. He's very good at playing the political game. I don't think he likes it as much, which is what makes it fun. Like, for example, the whole thing with him being War Master. There's that scene in Horus Rising where they're deciding to send the Luna Wolves down to 6319 or 5319, whatever, the planet that they're trying to go on. And there's that rebellion, and he's like, do we send the Luna Wolves down? And he has to play that part of being the leader that is not immediately wanting to, like, wage horrible warfare, which I respect. I think it's very cool. The glimpses we get of Horus before he falls are fucking awesome. And then overall, like, later, you get to hear a lot of his, like, insecurities about his position and his issues with his dad. Is really fun. I like, overall, his character is set up fantastically. Do they pay off? I don't know. I also haven't read the final books. I've been hearing mixed things. Some people say they're great. Some people say they're dog shit. So I don't know where Horus's character ends yet. But, like, man. I also really like in The End and the Death, or The Death and the End, where Horus, at least if I remember correctly, basically talks about how he doesn't really like the Primarchs he's allied with. Fair. I mean, as the Khan put it, like, what allies? Like, goddamn, you have to deal with all these horrible people. Especially the fact that as they get more chaosified, the less they listen. As much as they'll shit on him, Perturabo is like, he carried it on his shoulders because he's one of the only Chaos Primarchs who, like, kept his head. He's the only one that was like, I'm not just gonna do whatever I want, go insane. The rest are just fucking, like, dumb or, like, went absolutely monstrous. I mean, the only ones is, like, Perturabo, Magnus, Alfarius, and yeah, it's kind of it, I guess. Like, in Magnus, though, his only flaw was that he's just more self-serving. He's doing his own thing, and, like, a lot of if he wants something, it takes priority over whatever the common goal is. Like, he would have Sanguinius, Gilman, and L. Johnson send the peeps. Yeah, he did. He does really want them. It's the whole bit where he was talking about with Sanguinius, like, actually, it's interesting you mentioned, because he really would obviously want Sanguinius alongside him in the Heresy. It's something he mentioned. But I do like the sequence where he talks to Erebus, and Erebus is, like, insulting him, like, ha, you fool. You don't think that, you're just scared of Sanguinius, when they're having the discussion of whether to just straight up kill him or try to convert him. And Horus is really hard in the opinion of it's just better to kill him, because he knows Sanguinius so much that he knows he would never turn traitor. I like that sequence, and also because Horus and Sanguinius have some of the best Primarch bro, like, moments. Their moments of just being friendly with each other is great. I like the sequence of them just on campaigns together chatting, and then the part where Horus learns of the Red Thirst, I think, is a really good scene. I really like those. But I guess continuing on, we have Vulcan. Vulcan is, I think, it is another S tier. I like Vulcan a lot. He's, again, another hot take. Vulcan's just a fun character. He's also just a nice guy, which is kind of nice to see. It's nice to have a couple of those. And also the fact that Vulcan, oh my god, he has to deal with so much, and a lot of his sequences are fucking awesome. God, there's a lot I like about Vulcan, and it's all like little strands that I catch and I'll pull together to make up his character. Yeah, into the fires of battle, into the anvils of war. It's like him and his boys, him and the salamanders are very cool. Genuinely saying this, if I didn't get into Raven Guard, it was going to be salamanders, because I think the salamanders are awesome, and Vulcan makes up a lot of that. It's just Corax is more of my personal taste, because Corax is a little edgier, and I like me some edge. Yeah, good. Like, salamanders are great. They're great fun on the tabletop, and also, at least of my opinion, have the best color scheme when it comes to base of the base 18 Space Marine Legions and like chapters. I think that the specific shade of green is fucking awesome. I love it, and also all the scales, very cool. He's just nice. He's a nice guy, except for that one time with the Eldar Child, where he burned them alive. Though, you know, he had to deal with Kurz, which, oh boy, Conrad, he did yoink Vulcan and put him through some horrific torture, and also worse stuff before that, because Kurz is also the reason why Vulcan killed an Eldar Child by like flamethrowing her to death. You know. Because he was just being Conrad throughout the entire sequence. And then I also gotta say, it's the fact of, even though it is two of my favorite Primarchs and they're fighting against each other, it is beautiful. Because, like, goddamn, I adore the whole sequence of Kurz kidnapping Vulcan and then going through all that horrible, horrible torture. And then the whole aspect of the maze with Vulcan is so good. Yeah, I feel like salamanders just deserve better writers. True, honestly. From what I've heard of this, because I have not read them as well, I have heard that opinion a lot. The fact that, like, the author of the salamanders books, like, super protective of them, and he's not even that good, which is sad. That's very sad. Though also I feel that. I know the Raven Guard have some hit or miss stories, so... The salamanders though hit the part where I feel like everybody kind of likes them. I haven't met many like salamander and Vulcan haters, so the fact that they don't have like a lot of good books is weird to me. Like, Black Library and Games Workshop are sometimes a little confusing in that aspect, where it's like, this seems like really popular. Why don't you like write something or make something quality? Why don't you just churn it out? Because I get if they're writing shitty, like, Tau or Eldar books, because, you know, they're pretty unpopular. Ugh. God, talking a while. Okay. But yeah, Vulcan's cool. I really like the whole aspect, like, his relationship with his kids. The whole treasure hunt bit for his return is a little weird, don't get me wrong. I think that I think it's both an interesting concept, but I see why people don't like it, you know? I think it's very fair. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't like Tau, so I can't I don't care if the Tau have good or bad books. The only Tau I like is Farsight, but that's just because he's absolutely based. Even though his backstory is a little dumb in some parts. But yeah, I mean, Vulcan is he's just fun. I think that also the fact he's one of the really creative Primarchs. Yeah, the treasure hunt does... I like the concept of it. It's one of those things where you hear the idea of it, where you're like, yeah, he's building a treasure hunt for his kids, go find all of his best creations, and then, whoa, he'll return. Like, that's a cool idea. I think it's very fun. The problem is, once you expand on Vulcan's character and, like, read about it, you're like, this doesn't feel like it fits. Like, you know? It's that part where that feels weirdly obtuse in, like, for a character like Vulcan. I just don't see that being in character for him at all. Which, depends on whether or not the whole treasure hunt thing came before or after the Horus Heresy was written. I think it came before. So this is probably a situation where it is a lore point that then later got kind of cheapened because of the whole Horus Heresy part. Though I think one of the things they're leaning on, if I'm not mistaken, is the fact that it's the interpretation of the salamanders that Vulcan is doing this like treasure hunt, not that it's real. Which to that end, I can at least hand wave it a little. Like, that's fair. It's been a long time. Maybe they just have a weird outlook. I still think it's weird. Don't get me wrong. I love you, my children, so go through this impossible hurdles for me to come back. Yeah, like, it doesn't feel fitting. It feels more like a Korax thing, you know? Like, Korax would tell his kids, like, to earn deliverance, to earn forgiveness, you must go through these awful trials. And then I will return, because by then I will have done them myself. Like, that aspect. That feels like it fits him, because Korax, as much as I love him, is weirdly poetic and has to make things a little extra and, like, dramatic. The man who said nevermore is his final words, you know? It doesn't fit Vulcan, so I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, last one. Then I'll probably end stream in shortly. But last up we got Magnus, who easy S tier. I love Magnus. Magnus is very cool in the fact that he is so fucking tragic. I love him. I love the fact that his fall is just so like set up as he's just stumbling his way through fate, with some parts that are just bad writing, admittedly. Just like that specific aspect where a lot of it is because he's fighting against Tzeentch, which, oh my god, the one who did nothing wrong. I mean, obviously he did some wrong in the fact that he kept playing into Tzeentch's hand repeatedly and repeatedly. Like, god damn. Alright, one sec. Alright. Ah, God. Just coughing a bit. I want to grumble about this, but Magnus is just so well done. Damn you, Magnus. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I get why, like, the rivalry. I think the rivalry is the most tangible between, you know, Russ and Magnus and all that, which is very fun. I think it's one of the best constructed rivalries. But, which actually, speaking of, it's another bit I can appreciate. Because for the longest time, I always felt like the Lorgar and Gilman thing was a little, like, forced. Like, the Emperor kind of forced it upon them. Rather, because Gilman himself was like, I didn't want to fucking do that. Like, I was just told to. But I really like the theory that the Emperor brought Gilliman and the Ultramarines to Monarchia to burn it down, also as, like, a preemptive, hey, buddy, don't do what he's doing. Stay in your fucking lane. I really like that from the Emperor. Yeah, like, that's also the part I like about Magnus. He's so powerful and knowledgeable, but he's so arrogant. I love that, because Warhammer has a lot of those characters. I mean, I'm directly reading the Fabius Bile trilogy, and the biggest thing you could say about Fabius is like, oh my god, he's so fucking arrogant. But he's genuinely, like, a genius. Where there's a scene I adore where he's talking to, like, another apothecary, a Death Guard apothecary of all things, and Fabius is saying that, like, the biggest problem with the galaxy is that nobody knows their place. And then the Death Guard is like, are you talking about yourself as well, Fabius? He's like, I know my place. It's that others don't. Which is hilarious. Also, the fact in Gene Father, the one bits I've seen of the actual writing, how many times Call is like, I am Call and I can do anything. God, just like, I really like the arrogant genius in 40k, because, oh my god, they're so fun, because they're such assholes. And Magnus is like that. He's very arrogant. He's also very, like, egocentric in that idea that he just kind of plays into the whole bit of he is this scholarly genius delving into the secrets of the universe, discovering psychic powers and all that, like, mastering that aspect. But, you know, he also prioritizes that to the detriment of others. Like the fact in the Heresy, guys, Great Crusade, he would just dip during battle and be like, hey, yo, we got some intel, some cool psychic shit is leaving. some cool psychic shit is like over that away. So like, let me go pick it up real quick, which is great. I think it's super fun. And then his brothers got really pissed at him for it for good reason. In his Primarch novel, I had to suppress the urge to poke his remaining eye out. Yeah. It's just, that's the fun of Magnus. I think he's arrogant like that, and I enjoy that. Magnus is really interesting in that character archetype for 40k, in the fact that he gets shit on way more constantly than the other very arrogant characters, because just going along with Tzeentch just unknowingly and unwillingly, where he believes that he's greater than Tzeentch's direct like influence, but he isn't. In the Ashes of Prospero, Neil Stormcaller deals with the pre-heresy Thousand Sun Sorcerer Soul. I assume you might continue, but like the whole bit where he thinks he knows better, but also on the other hand, a lot of the problems when it comes to Magnus and his fall is purely because the Emperor wouldn't communicate. Yeah, he's nice, but he's also an ass. Yeah, that's what I like about him. There's something with the sorcerer that just couldn't comprehend that Magnus would ever fall, which adds a lot to his character. Yeah, actually. The fact that Magnus, I think, in the story, has the most chance to be one of the loyalists is really good. I think that's my problem with Magnus when it comes to the execution of him. Because as we were talking about before, there's a whole aspect when it comes to these Primarchs of writing in reverse. And I directly talked about the Fall of Prospero, like the whole sieging of it, and the fact that that aspect feels really forced. That is like the hiccup. That's the one hiccup that I think his story has, because where he ends up makes sense. I think it works. I really like it. The path there is great until you get to the actual like ending of the siege, where he just is acting a little out of character and weird. The fact that he's going there with decent intentions on every step of the way makes him really fun. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and he's always trying to help. He's trying to do something right. The fact that he just fucked up the Imperial Palace and his father's plans because he was directly fucking there in the vision where Erebus was giving Horus to like go traitor. Magnus broke his way into that vision and was there and directly was trying to break Horus out of it and like, hey, don't fucking listen to this guy. Like, this is insane. And then, Horus is like, you know what? Fuck you, Erebus. I hate you, but I agree. And like that sequence, and then immediately panicking and being like, God, fuck, I have to go tell Dad. And in that moment of like pure just unthinking panic, he fucks everything up by psychically projecting himself. I think his actions are really fair. Like, they're very understandable why they happen and why he gets roped into all of it. Also the fact that, he gave up his eye in the very, like, Odin style for knowledge, and the warp. But it's the problem where I think the Emperor could have just at least explained chaos to one guy. I think of all people, if he explained it to Magnus, it might have turned out a little better. Because I also think that, like, if anyone, I feel like the Emperor could have seen that Magnus was going down that path. He tried to curtail it in a weird way with the Council on Nicaea, but it was kind of a put down. It went really poorly. What do you think Magnus should have done instead? Like, you mean in general, like, just where he should have stopped at his actions? Because I don't think that there was a position where he could have done something different. Not even saying like he made the right decision at every point. I think he obviously fucked up, but I think that anything else would go against his character. I think Magnus is the product of a lot of people playing games that are above his head that he thinks he's a participant of. And yeah, I mean, I'll blame the Emperor for it, like forever, but also like Magnus's responsibility in the heresy and like in falling like that is the fact that he is so arrogant. He's trying to be like, it's like he's in high school basketball trying to play in the NBA. It's like that, where he's on a different fucking playing field that he cannot comprehend. He has no experience on. So in making those decisions, he's just fucking up the entire way, but he doesn't fully get it yet. to that aspect, I don't think I can state what I believe Magnus should have done different. I think that a lot of other people in his surroundings could have done a little better with Magnus. Especially because, like, of all people, Magnus was honestly a good dude. His biggest flaw is that he's just really arrogant and prioritized the wrong thing. So for that aspect, the only thing I'd say Magnus should do differently is be less of a dick and maybe prioritize your brothers rather than, like, a book, a cool psychic magic book you found. I don't know. But yeah, that is my new Primarch, the new official Primarch ranking that I'll have. I'm also kind of happy that as this went on, things elevated more than they dropped, which I think is all right. There's a thing that I try to do when I come into the things I cover, in that I think there's a lot of weird hyper negativity when it comes to, like, Warhammer, when it comes to Vampire the Masquerade, when it comes to anything like that, which, don't get me wrong, I think you can critique all this shit. You can critique anything, you can be upset, you can have your negative opinions on it. Like, I think it's very fair coming into Warhammer and talking about how some of the writing is shit, because it is, don't get me wrong. But also, like, I don't know, we're all in here in this hobby because we like it, so I like really going hard on the stuff that's positive and good about 40k, because, like, we're all here just to learn and like talk about this dumb, goofy, over the top sci-fi setting, and that's really what 40k is. Like, it's just fucking dumb and goofy. That's what I enjoy about it the most, at least. Let's switch over to that. All right. So yeah, that's basically the stream. I'm happy that. Yeah, I'm just happy that, I guess, my opinion on all these, because I actually haven't thought about this until, like, I sat down here today to record this purposefully. I was very, very pointedly trying to not pre-plan this, because in the moment, on the spot, talking about it with, like, chat like this, I think it leads to more organic things coming up, and also I feel like it's more honest if I come up with it in my reasoning in the moment rather than writing it all out and, like, trying to make my own list beforehand. Because otherwise I feel like I would try to force myself to stay more, like, completely consistent with my old list, like, double down on everything, but no, I just gained more appreciation for more things in the universe. Thanks for doing this. Was really fun. I need to go have nightmares about the additional injustice Gilman had to endure. Yeah, I put a little bit more of a Gilman bad energy into the world. You know what? That's on me. I appreciate that, Sign with Blood. I've actually been nervous about doing this because I am not a dude that streams, or, like, I don't know. Just streaming in general alone is really weird to me. I'm part of a stream. I do it every Thursday, Pacific time, like 4 to 6, with my buddy, Bad Luck Gamer. He's linked in my YouTube. Just go to friends of the channel. I do table talk with him every week, where we just kind of talk about tabletop game stuff, like news or just our takes on stuff. And the fact he's my co-host, or I guess he's the guy who runs it, and I'm his co-host, more likely. It's very comforting to lean on, because I'm like, man, I panic sometimes when I'm put in positions like this. But you know what? I will take it. Nervous. I sounded... No, man. I'm good at masking it. That's all it is. I'm just good at hiding it by talking about a nerdy thing. But yeah, I'm good at hiding any, like, nerves or anxieties I have about stuff like this. It's like, over time, I'm more and more comfortable actually showing myself in like a stream or on YouTube or whatever. Which, yeah, for, like, this new year, like, it's very fun, the growth of this. 2023 was a pretty fun year for everything here. A lot of people, like, finding the channel, contributing in fun ways. I enjoy that there's a community that I guess engages with my stuff in really, like, I think, proper and legit ways. Because I think my worry is that people come in and then kind of I guess because I'm making, like, a jokier thing, it means that I'm not here to, like, actually earnestly talk about it like we have today, which I appreciate. I appreciate that I have a community that'll actually spout their opinions in a cool way instead of being a bunch of dicks about it. So good on all of you. Oh yeah, I mean if I can cover up all my nerves of dealing with like super social stuff by purely nerding out about a couple things. 40K is my one, and then closely followed by Vampire the Masquerade and Warframe. When it comes to the lore for those, I'm also there. But yeah, for this is a fun start for 2024. I guess keep an eye out. I'm going to release an edited down version of this stream. Uh, I guess if you've been here the entire time, there's not much need for it, but up to you to watch it. I'm also losing steam and my throat is weird, so I am gonna end it. So yeah, I appreciate everyone coming out here and contributing. It's very cool. I'm happy I didn't have to sit in a completely empty chat for a bit. So y'all rule. So yeah, I'll see you all next video, I guess, next stream. I have some other ideas for streams, and mainly, as long as I'm not a streamer where I sit playing a video game completely quietly, I'm set. Thanks, I appreciate that, Sign of Blood. But all right, I will catch you all later then.